Stay tuned. Here with the coach, John Brent.
The vet and Griffin. We have sucked today.
We have. It's the cold weather.
It's
cold.
the censorship. I'm scared.
We're being
nervous.
censored right now.
I know it. They're watching this Big Brother and
the Thought Police. Thought Police. Man, they're running rapid, Coach.
I keep looking up in the rafters.
Yep. There's going to be a poster right there, and it's going to be behind there. John Brent, Ian Griffin, we see you. Stay still. 1984.
Wow.
So we both bought the book.
Yes.
And I read like the first 6 chapters, and they're little small chapters, and then I watched the damn movie.
I've only read 4, and 2 of them I don't think I remember a thing I read. It's got me all over the place.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird. And so I'll talk about the book for a second. I mean, the movie itself in a second. So it takes this guy, Winston Smith, who's in charge of altering what happened that day. That's his job in the Thought Police, is he's to alter what happens that day. As he does that, he goes on and he crosses the Thought Police in some way. Well, you hear on the radio blasting in the town all the time, Bill Bob got caught doing this, and they always say that he did this wrong, and he had syphilis. And you're like, what? And so anyway, so he did all these things, so he's a bad person. But what comes out of it is he chases this young girl, he messes with her, not appropriately, according to the Thought Police, in any way, and they have a relationship, and they send him into where he's the guy that supposedly gets executed. He didn't get executed, he gets reconformed. Remember we did this thing just a couple of days ago? What was that? We need to restructure how the Republicans think.
Yeah.
Reconform, and as he did the reconforming, they put him back out there, but he found out that the people that he was messing with had already been reconformed. They told on him.
Oh.
They were...
Bunch of snitches?
They were a bunch of snitches. Everybody was a snitch.
Oh,
so
my God.
this is Big Brother watching you.
But you say that, and we kind of laugh about it, but just with the mask police, as I call them, just people will snitch on you. He's not wearing one.
Oh, yeah.
Get your manager. Call the police. He's not wearing a mask.
Yeah.
I mean, this is absolutely nuts.
It is. And it was written in the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
And when I can't think of his name,
Orson Welles.
When he wrote it, George Orwell. George Orwell. When he wrote it, he, this was ahead of the time, but if you really look at Germany, how they told on each other in reference to the Jews, maybe it wasn't that really ahead of time. Maybe it was hindsight in some ways. But what I've always found out is whenever you have a book that's supposed to be thought-provoking, you put a date on it, look at Flash Gordon with the ray guns and all this other stuff. It takes 50 years, 60 years for it to evolve. We're hitting it right now.
Yeah.
We're in the midst of it.
Well, I have to say that, I've heard about the book lately in the last year. Everybody talks about it here and there. But the other day, I think I called you or texted you. But I was driving through Tyler, and in the back of this dude's truck in huge letters it said, read 1984. And I thought, wow, here we go.
Yeah. So the Thought Police.
Yeah.
Is it true or is it not? But in today's time, let's talk about some things that's happened. I mean, we shut down. Think about what we did. We had big corporations silence the former president while he was still the president. They took the power out of the government and became a more powerful entity than the government, and they silenced him. And you can say it was justified or not, but there's so many cases that go against the justified part. But at the end of the day, you had world leaders, and think about this. You had Angela Merkel complain about this. You had Vladimir Putin complain about this. You had the Mexican president, I can't say his name, complain about it. You had Boris Johnson complain about it. You had Mark Warner, U.S. Senator, saying it was an overdue step. I don't think it was overdue because I think freedom of speech is freedom of speech for a reason.
Yeah, we have a big problem, and I talk about it with my students all the time, is who determines what is hate speech, who determines what is right speech, who determines what is okay speech, is going to be determined by who's in power and who has the most money. Exactly. If you start allowing that to happen, then we're going to be programmed that we have to be a certain way and say certain things, or you're going to be considered transphobic, homophobic, whatever the phobic you want to put to it, and you're going to be censored and pushed aside. You could lose your job, you could lose everything over it. I have people all the time, I read things all the time now where someone says something that it's their opinion on something, and they're called out to lose their job, and if somebody from another company wants to hire them, they get boycotted. I mean, we talked about cancel culture, but this is a totally cancel culture on steroids.
So, and we even had, I think it was in the New York Times. I might have that wrong, and if I do, forgive me, New York Times. They even come out and talked about, we need to have a policy czar. A reality czar, policy czar. And
who said this?
I believe it came out in the Time. Yeah, it was in New York Times. It's not a policy czar, excuse me. It's a reality czar. It came out in the New York Times. Reality czar. So the President Biden needs to appoint somebody to be the reality czar. Person who would determine what's correct language to go out and what's not.
I'm not doing that.
I'm here to tell you, if you read anything in history, you push 1984 and Big Brother and Thought Police aside, go read the turn of the century, last century, when Russia was going through its revolution, and go read what Stalin did, and then you would change your whole mind on that.
No, they won't, because a lot of them have read it. But they don't think it could happen now because we have learned how to be different.
We're different.
We're different. It's just like when people say, well, you can't tell me that we can't be socialist or we can't do socialism, because if we would have been around, or our leaders now would have been around, instead of it being these people, then it would have been different. No. That's the argument that you get. Well, no, we're different. Well, we just put a name in front of it, democratic socialism. But what happens is, you don't realize is, just because the times change and you think you're better now, you get power and you're not any better.
You're not. Whenever you crumple, cramp, confine speech, you are going away from anything that's freedom at all, whatsoever. I mean, if you think about it during the time, think about during the Enlightenment period, and I don't like the guy personally in history, Voltaire, but at the end of his life, he was a good guy. It was the first part of his life, he was just a damn Michael Moore.
But
he was throwing tantrums. But when he got to the end of his life, and when he started pushing the press and the speech, that's when he actually earned what he was worth then. He earned his spot in history. But if you understand what led up to that, you want to say something? We'll just shut you down. We'll just shut your newspapers down. And that's what happened back then. Sure. But that's what's happening now. You want to say something? We'll just shut you down. Hey, we're going to give you a venue for you to say something on. It's called Parlor. Take advantage of it all you want. But if you say something against us, we shut you down.
Yeah, it's who is determining what is okay. And who is going to determine that is going to decide on what you can say publicly or on social media. It's not fair. And plus, you're taking away people's opinion. Mm-hmm. If you want to be a radical right or a radical left person, and you want to have a paid venue where you go to on a college campus or downtown Dallas or downtown New York, why would people want to shut that down? That's your ideology. That's what you think. If people want to pay to listen to it, fine. If you don't listen to it, don't go. If you don't like listening to certain music, turn the channel. If you don't like watching a certain TV show, turn the channel. Why are you going to tell me what I can and can't listen to? Because if I don't align with you, there's something wrong with me.
Right.
There's something wrong with Trump, because now what Trump did, I'll be honest with you, with the bull crap that I call still is bull crap. And he's got followers that are going to believe that no matter if they have him on Twitter or not. And let's just shut him down for that. But you know this as much as I do. I'm on Facebook every day. I see 10 out of 10 of Facebook fact checkers are always fact checking and calling out only people on the right. Conservative people on the right only. If Biden or somebody says anything that we know that is absolutely stupid and ridiculous and wrong, there's no fact check. And then if we actually copy that and paste it and say that this is wrong, then they fact check us.
So I saw two things here just recently. I saw a post that said that Biden, didn't make wrong decisions as president because he was never really won the presidency. Fact checker came on there and did their thing, which we all know that's bull crap. I saw somebody else put a thing about President Biden and say, President Biden has cured cancer, landed on the moon, and started internet on Mars.
Fact check this.
It says, where's the fact check at? Where is the fact check? Because they're both absurd in both ways. Mm-hmm. So where the flip-flop is the fact check? Because, they don't care on that because it kind of fits the agenda, on the thing. As long as it fits the agenda, we're all right, So I've seen many about not the school bus, but the President Biden bus in Austin, Texas, where people come out and say, hey, that the pro-Trump guy tried to run somebody off the road. If you watch the video open-mindedly, the car behind the Biden bus, which was a Biden supporter, actually tried to run him and got over in his lane, and all he did was he shimmied back and forth to get that car out of his lane. They actually tried to run him off. But there's no fact checker on that because that doesn't fit the agenda or the narrative that they want to push.
Well, it's just as simple as this. Biden yelled at the guy at that plant somewhere up north a couple years ago.
Now they're saying it's a lie. They put a fact check on it.
You could actually watch the whole video, which I had, and he yells the guy down and tells him specifically something, and they're saying that's out of context.
Yes.
Well, you play the whole video, and when you look at it and put it into full context, it's still what he said.
Yes.
But it's just they're pushing a narrative always that you have to believe a certain way and think a certain way.
If our fact checker says it, who's 17 years old to 21, who, he wrote real good and he's able to research. Our 21-year-old, he's got to be right because he's smarter than everybody else. Yeah. This is a form of censorship at the end of the day. Now, what some people will come out and say, well, the vet, hey, if you don't like it, don't go to their business. I agree with that on a lot of aspects. Then you put out your policy ahead of time instead of in midstream, and you let everybody know ahead of time, for one.
Just be fair.
And two, don't take a government handout that protects you on the expense of the taxpayer dollar. But that's what's going on right now, is they are receiving the government handout of the umbrella of protection that goes, we allow them to do more than any other business because we wanted to energize this sector for the world, so we allowed that and gave them these protections. So, yeah, I'm okay with that as long as we take those protections away and let them be treated like any other business.
Yeah, I'm a coach. I go into a game. The referees always talk to you before the game. They talk to you. They're going to tell you what they're going to be focused on. Make sure we don't do this. Is there any trick plays you do or anything you do that's different so we'll know so we can talk to you about it before. If there's a penalty, is your motion wrong? But there's a rule book. Before you get to that game, there's a rule book that both teams have to follow. There's nothing more frustrating for a coach than by halftime, you've got 11 penalties for holding and for pass interference or for whatever. Another team has one, and both teams are doing the same thing. It's not fair. All we ask, if you're going to fact check somebody, fact check it honestly, just by facts. Now, then it gets down to what's true and what's not. I saw somebody this morning just still again put, like still in the election. I'm so tired of that. But let's just be honest across the board. If you're going to fact check Trump, Biden, Hillary, Cruz, whatever, fact check everybody on the same playing field, the same manual, the same rule book, instead of it being so objective based on your ideology. It's so simple to know that people from Facebook are more liberal than they are conservative. And if you tell me they're not, you're wrong.
Yeah, they are. And at the end of the day, though, it's a form of censorship at the end of the day. And we are drifting closer and closer and closer to 1984 than we ever thought. And
I'm not doing it, though.
I'm not, but it might be done to us. One of the things I am grateful for on the Coaching the Vet is we have not got hit with a fact check sticker yet.
We will.
Tomorrow we will, probably. But
we will. Especially if we keep having some of those liberals comment on our stuff.
But so far we haven't done it yet. And I'm proud of that because we kind of research our stuff a good bit in there. But I will say this is when we start silencing people, if you silence the former president, which I'm not here to justify him either way, but when you silence him, you sent the message that nobody's immune.
Okay. I have one more and then we can move on. Great Obama said that you can keep your doctor if you want to keep your doctor. Knowing at that time pretty much it wasn't going to happen. And it didn't happen. And he said it, I want to say that it was 41 times in public. He wasn't censored. He wasn't called a liar by both sides of the media. He wasn't shut down. No. And to this day, I guarantee you, we should try it. We should probably find a video of him saying that and post it online and see how long it takes for them to say it's either out of context or it's wrong or our fact checkers say it's false, because it would be. But we all know it happened.
Yeah. So we know another one that the media suppressed a good bit, but we know it happened. Let's take the Benghazi incident. The Secretary of State denied it happened, emailed her daughter and said it is not about a video, and then stood out and said,
Rice the next day on...
They all came out. It's all about this video that the West did. How
And
dare
Susan
us
Rice
make a video?
knew.
This is not unifying by us making this video. We have to make, because if we say it, all American people will believe us for saying it because we're that holy. Instead of just telling us the freaking truth.
This is normal politics. It shouldn't be, but it is.
It is.
So don't censor those people. Don't censor Trump. Don't censor Susan Rice for going on and saying all those things on those Sunday networks when she knew the day before that it wasn't about a video. Don't censor. Let us be smart enough to go, we like it or we don't. We'll vote for you or we won't. We like this party or we don't.
I say this, let them make the ass out of themselves and let us just
people be an ass.
Yeah, because that's exactly what they're doing.
All right, well, this is the last thing I'm going to say on this thing. Jordan Peterson fought the Bill C-16 about hate speech in Canada. And one of the things he said, and I'm going to do the same thing on this, and I'm going to put it out there, is I'm not going to do it. If they ever find me for it, I won't pay it. If they arrest me, I'll go on a hunger strike. But I am not getting into this censorship crap. The First Amendment means way too much to me. This is ridiculous. I'm not getting involved in it. So somebody send me an email. I had to move on. I'm getting mad.
So one thing I'm going to say, I'm just going to say a quote here. When you tear out a man's tongue, you're not proving him a liar. You're telling the world that you're afraid to hear what he has to say.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing.
So terrified of those old crazy Trumpers.
You're afraid of what somebody might say because it just might ruffle your feathers and expose something.
Let them be an ass. Let them say something stupid.
Let them
a lot of stuff that President Trump said, the reason he didn't get reelected and the reason that so many people hate him was his own mouth.
Yeah.
More than anything. Let him keep talking.
Yeah, let him keep talking. So, Coach, we got a little mail in.
Okay, what we got?
What are you reading now? What are you reading now? Since we're talking about censorship.
I'm actually reading something that's not a censorship book. It's actually, I've read the book 2 times, and I started rereading it again because I'm reading it with my wife. It's called How Christianity Changed the World, and it actually breaks down certain things like morality, freedom, infanticide, abortion. How did Christianity get involved throughout history?
Yeah.
And the guy that wrote it, his name is Alvin Schmidt, breaks it down into great chapters of certain things. But we just read like how did how were they transformed by Jesus Christ's birth and the movement and what happened after? You don't have to even be a Christian. How did that change the world? So it's a pretty awesome book. How Christianity Changed the World.
So the book I'm reading is, you got it for me. If the Allies had fallen, 60 alternative scenarios of World War II.
Do you know any German?
Say again?
Do you know any German?
Sauerkraut.
Because I fixed to say we'd be speaking German.
We would. So to be honest, there's a series out called The Man in the High Castle, and it talks about that. It is, now it goes off on some sci-fi on part of it, but The Man in the High Castle, actually Big Brother type stuff is what it goes into. But The Man in the High Castle shows America lost the war, and all the way to the Rockies is owned by the Nazis, and the Rockies is free. It's the free zone, and the Pacific coast is owned by the Japanese.
Wow.
And it goes into some deep stuff in there. It's a pretty good series anyway. But I'm reading this here because I want to see all these scenarios that would have happened,
Man, thank God that we had them great generation of people back.
Yes. So anyway, that's it from us. Hey, come check us out on our webpage, though.
Don't censor me.
Yeah, I'll try not to. Nobody censor our webpage either. Put your comments on our webpage. We'd like to hear that. And subscribe to us on YouTube if you don't mind.
Yeah, go by www.thecoachandvet.com. Buy your t-shirt. Buy you something. Buy your sweatshirt. Hey, it's about to be warm outside. Get you some t-shirts.
Yep.
You got shorts now?
I ain't got shorts in there.
No shorts? We got some hats.
We got hats.
Yeah.
We don't have swimming trunks. We got women's yoga pants.
Yeah, my wife likes those.
Does she?
Yeah.
Yeah, so. All right. We're in the coach.
To the vet.
Stay tuned, stay tuned, stay tuned.